Hello, cats and kittens, or Jose, Yoshko. Welcome back to the Crisis Corner. We're doing another segment of, this will be the fourth installment of C3 Weekly. Yeah, the fourth installment of C3 Weekly, and today we're going to be doing 5 creative questions. And with my guest, Alan Cole, as you know. Say hey, Alan.
Hello, folks.
This is our creative questions series, is where I have a guest and I ask them 5 creative questions generally about the creative process and so forth, and we get a peek into the head of one of our creators. So for our first question, what do you recall being your first creative endeavor? The first thing you created that you can remember creating, purposefully creating.
Now, do you mean my trust into the artistic community or literal creation, like I created my own characters?
Yeah, something that you created.
Okay.
Something that's just the first thing you remember just conjuring up.
It was roughly about when I was 16, and I wasn't new to the comic scene, but I wasn't really serious about it. However, at that age, I kept getting punished all the time, so that's an integral part to me being within the comic community.
Mm-hmm.
Back then, all you had, I think it was the either the NES or the Super NES.
Mm-hmm.
That was 93, 94 ish. So yeah, it had to be the Nintendo, Super Nintendo. Anyway, I was doing, remember the Wizard magazines?
Yeah.
And they had those segments in there where it was create your own character. So you would like take part A and put a name from part B, and you would combine them together. So that's what I came up with Death Strike with that team, because it was death over here and then like strike over there.
Ah, that's where you got the
So the majority of the Death Strike team, which is still a thing within the second wave universe, about 95% of those came out of just playing around with different name formats. And obviously they're all going to like Blood Wolf, Poseidon, like all that. And remember, that was integral to the 90s because that's when Image was really big. So it was like Rob Liefeld era and Ultraverse. So it's a lot of that stuck in there. But that's when, and then I started drawing. I was never trained, never took any classes. I started to copy the scenes from books, and I would combine them together. So I would mishmash. So I did a poster. I actually did a poster, 24 by 40 poster. It was Batman. No, it was Batman on the bottom. It was Superman, Batman, Hulk, and Wolverine. And they were supposed to be like colliding together, but I took them from 4 different books and just took a panel out of there and meshed them together. Like that's how I did. Essentially, I didn't learn forms or anything. So I was drawing muscle by muscle group. Yeah, and it was primarily off of Bart Sears. So that's why a lot of
I eyeballed it, or
I eyeballed it. So a lot of the earliest stuff. I don't know if you saw any of the earliest.
I probably did. Back when you was on Minnesota Avenue.
Right, because remember I was supposed to be an artist when we started.
Yeah.
Company, and then that kind of just like fell by the wayside.
Yeah,
it doesn't hold my attention the same way. And then when I had the carpal tunnel, so it was actually physically painful for a while. But yeah, it was literally just eyeballing Bart Sears, and that was it.
So basically, Death Strike was the first thing, probably among the first things that you created.
Very first thing.
Okay.
Actually, the only thing outside of For Armageddon.
Okay.
I actually don't have a lot of creative credits now that I think about it.
I'm sure. If I think back, first thing I created the first thing I created that wasn't my own. The first thing I actually tried to do was a rewrite. You remember the cartoon Dungeons and Dragons?
Yeah.
First thing I created, I tried to do a rewrite of that because the series was over. And I was
you weren't satisfied?
Yeah.
Well, you wanted to continue.
Yeah, I just wanted to come up with some new stuff. So I just started doing, rewrites of that, right? Then I said, all right, well, I ain't getting nowhere with this. So I started, I wrote this story called Dawn.
Dawn?
Dawn. which I knew it was in trouble. I was in trouble there because it's supposed to be. It was basically an X-Men knockoff. You know, old dudes recruiting little kids from all over the place. One of them Chinese, one of them black, one whatever. It to be some kind of fighting squad, whatever. And it was, but Dawn's not a strong name for that type of series. If you tried, you know, anyway, so it was a bad name. I knew I was off to a bad start. But
Hey, Dawn of the New People, or
it
whatever
was
you
like
call it.
Dawn, like you know, like I thought it was like Dawn, like it's the dawn of a new era, whatever.
Right.
Anyway, so I worked it and reworked it, and to make a long story short, that's Intrepid. That's where it came from. That's so it got better. So
How long did it take you to get from Dawn to Intrepid?
Maybe that at least 6 months.
That's it?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Because remember, when I met you, you had already done at least one issue of Intrepid, and you had Society. I know you had started. I think you had some pages because you were with
Rob drew that.
Man, what's his name?
Oh, you talking about
Frankie B. Frankie Washington?
Oh, that was for Ages.
Ages.
He did Ages. That was a little bit later. Not that much later after we met, but a little bit later because I had Society done. That was Rob.
By the time I met you.
Yeah, Rob did that. And then for a little bit later, because we were. No, I don't think I had Ages. Ages. No, I guess it was done around the same time. Not too long after we met, I think. I think that was before we met, but wasn't that much longer. Wasn't too much before we met. But yeah, it took about 6 months to get the loosest. No. Okay. I would say it took about a year. A year to get from Dawn to Intrepid.
So,
and then by the time I ran into y'all, I was a little bit further along than that.
So what went on in your mind when you were like, I can't do Dawn, I have to transition this to something else?
You just, I mean, when you, I hadn't done an issue yet. But I had all of the notes. I had the write-ups and all of that stuff. And when you look at it long enough, you just start to see it's trash, you know. So then I said, all right, well, it was just an X-Men knockoff. An old dude living in a mansion, you know.
What's the thing back then? Wildcats?
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty much, it was run-of-the-mill, you know, whatever. It didn't have it wasn't anything special. You know what I mean?
Oh, so this is new information to me. So did any characters carry over to Intrepid from Dawn?
Yeah. I think Bella was already there. I think Trial was there, but she was their main villain. Maybe Paxton, but probably not. Everybody else got scrapped. So maybe 2 people out of the whole thing.
You guys created a lot of characters.
Yeah. It was yeah.
That was how many characters we really have because they've only really seen it.
By the time we get we gotta get the what you call them, the character Bible out at some point. It's like
Ray is working on the first I sent them the first 15 cards.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he should be contacting you soon actually.
Matter of fact, yeah, I'll give him a call. Let's not get too sidetracked though.
Yeah.
Because we go off on a tangent, but yeah. So that was that. All right, so the first question was the first thing you remember creating. You gave me that. Question number 2. Name a creator, alive or dead, that you would like to collaborate with, and why?
Definitely Bart Sears. That just has a particular place artistically.
Mm-hmm.
There's a particular place in my heart. He has driven my view of what a comic book, action-packed comic book should look like.
Mm-hmm.
Overly muscled people for no reason. So I would love to actually do a project with him. I think writing-wise, I would like to do something with Frank Miller. Only I don't particularly like his work, honestly. I'm just very curious as to his creative process to do some of the stuff that he does. Like he it's like the things that he like. You can't put him in any kind of continuity laden story.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to completely rock that character. Like even remember when him and Jim Lee did All-Star Batman?
Oh wow, yeah.
And Robin. Like
Mm.
I have no idea who Batman / Bruce Wayne was. Who was his inspiration for that? So I would just love to sit down and be like, you feed me plots, tell me where we're going with the character, and I'll script it.
Mm-hmm.
But then I figured by the time he gives me whatever, he'll be like, Batman's like Red Ranger or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
What? So no, yeah, those two artistically, and then obviously I would, if we're doing a script, I mean a movie, I would love to do Zack Snyder, work with him. Obviously, I got him early on, so I feel kind of proud of myself. And I would like to, for an anime, I would love to work with Ida Oda, because how he put together One Piece, or yeah, it is Kishimoto.
Kishimoto, yeah, I thought it was.
Kishimoto. Yeah,
Yeah.
I would like to work with them. Their particular arcs, as you know, and going along with the overall storytelling approach that they've had for their characters. There may be some disagreements with them, but overall, if you look at them, if you disagree with certain aspects of how the characters were developed, if you take that particular arc out and then you put them, you just look at them not in sequence, but just in parts, it plays out completely differently, and you can actually relate, and then your mind would like piece everything together. It's fantastic to me watching it. Fantastic.
Pretty good.
Those 4 people.
Okay. If I had to pick, I was the first as a writer. First, it would be Ron Friends, and Ron Friends is an artist, being inked by Joseph Rubenstein, who Spider-Man when I first started reading comics. So this is in the mid '80s. Yeah, so that's like working with the Beatles. You know what I'm saying? That's, to me, that's it. So Rubenstein and Friends, not fair. And Oda, your man Oda, man, I like to edit Oda, to be honest with you, just so I get to see how he puts his stuff together.
Can you imagine how much you would learn?
Oh yeah, just his process, seeing how his foreshadowing, especially. I mean, he puts stuff together like in wow. I mean, he puts stuff together like hundreds of chapters in advance. Foreshadows like stuff 300-400 chapters in advance. His foreshadowing. So
Mine work that way.
That's what I'd like to find out. Those two, that's probably do it for me. I mean, there's other people like Burns, maybe John Burns, maybe Jim Lee. I wouldn't mind having Jim Lee draw something. I'd like to have him do an Intrepid John, but he might be a little too clean though. But
he is clean. He is clean.
He's very clean. I mean, great dude. But those two, Rubenstein, Friends, and Oda. That'd do it for me. I'd die happy at that point. All right. So, all right, that's the third question. What gets you out of a creative rut?
Honestly, video gaming. If I'm in a rut and nothing that I'm doing is coming out good, just hammering away at it, it doesn't work for me. I know some people say just write down whatever, and if it's garbage, then it's garbage. And it takes, if it's not flowing for me, or if it's not at least interestingly difficult, I lose interest, and all of it's going to. So it's not just going to be garbage. It's going to lose my interest, and then it ends up just me not touching it for 4 months. So I have to completely disassociate myself from it and do something fun. And then once I get the creative juices flowing, because I'm having fun, and I can, then it'll just pop in. So once it pops in, then I'll go back. It may not pop in the same day. It may pop in after I go to sleep and go to work and something completely obscure happens. But usually I have to stop. Like, you can't force creative juices. You can't. It's not like squeezing an orange, because if you do that, there's going to be no more juice left, and then you just got, burnt out tart juice. So yeah, video gaming it, and disconnect. And that's actually one of the best times that I have to go and appreciate other people's work.
Okay.
So reading someone else's comic, anything just to take my mind off of it.
What if I get in a rut, and it's weird because sometimes it's like the same. It might be one thing. When we were, I forget where we were, but we went over to either your place or Dave's place. I can't remember which, but we went over and I remember we had got IHOP. And so anyway, so we went over to watch an anime, right?
Mm-hmm.
We put in Sword of the Stranger. Changed my life. Every time I get into a rut, because it just impresses me. Visually, it impresses me. The story impresses me. I pop that joke in and make me feel good. And I just get over it. You know what I'm saying? But that specific movie, Sword of the Stranger, man, it turns me on, man. It's just, especially that scene where he finally unsheaths the sword that he had tied up for all them years. He vowed never to use it. And he's running to save him, and he's saying, "Get out of the way, right? Don't get out of the way." He's begging him, "Get out of the way. I don't really want to kill you," or whatever. He don't get out of the way, and he just cuts the fool down in one stroke and runs past. He doesn't even break stride. It's just like, it's one of the most emotional scenes I ever seen in an anime. It's just.
I can see how you can get yourself back into
that. Yeah, the Sword of the Stranger blew me away. It was on over Akira, over maybe more so than Akira, more so than Ghost in the Shell, more so than maybe no, I'd say over those two, and that's pretty high. Yeah, it's elite level for me. So I stick the joke in and just watch it, and then wait a little while and then go back to work.
But there's something. Well, can I? I'm sorry. Can I amend a statement?
Sure.
So, when I told you how I get out of a rut is what I do now. Mm-hmm. Before when we all used to talk a bit more regularly, talking with you and Dave about I guess just plotting characters. I used to call you guys a lot whenever I hit a roadblock. And just bouncing ideas back and forth off of you guys. I mean, it would usually end up turning into hours. So nobody got no time for that right now. Let's be dedicated. But those start at 9 o'clock and end up getting off the phone at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning.
3 o'clock, yeah, man.
Yeah, those I think those actually kept us going for had to be the first decade.
Yeah.
A lot of sleepless mornings.
Yeah.
Hurting. But
it was fun, man.
I wouldn't shut down though.
Yeah.
Mine would not shut down.
Yeah.
So we have to have offices or whatnot. We can just lounge around.
That was cool,
that. But yeah, that was early on. That was golden.
I remember that very well. Very well. All right, here we go. Question number 4. What is the hardest thing for you to write?
Comedy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. At best, I have satirical humor. You know, but trying to do, I could never write Blur or Rod. Never. My mind doesn't even go that way.
So like the humorous bits that was in what you call them, No One the Same. There was some bits in there that was like, I don't know if were they intentionally humorous or what. Like with the survivors, and they would have little bits in there. That was kind of like
no. I wrote that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So that
whole thing, and I mean, well.
So what I'm saying was that were you writing intentional humor, or was that just you writing them speaking? Just that it just came out.
It was the first time I ever gone out of my way to give certain characters personalities. And usually I don't do that. I let the personalities build upon themselves. I only had them for a few pages though. Remember, they came in Act 3 and the book was only 4 acts.
Right.
Out of those 2 acts, it was a total of like, I don't know, maybe 22 pages. And the majority, they were only going to be really for that 1 act. So I needed to get people to either like them or just see what they were. So like how else can you do? You throw them into a zombie Crisis, you have the different personalities spark out,
Right.
and you know that's just where it is. So yeah, it was intentional, but
Yeah.
you know, it's not something I'm very confident I can duplicate continuously.
Okay. Because like Hero being, the stoic, 1950s type dude, just had some natural. There was some natural. I mean, it's a horror book, but there was some natural humor between him and say, "What was that old dude? Not old dude. He wound up getting."
But you want to know what that was though? That's the version of Superman that I dislike the most. Well, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
that I like the least. Let me put it that way. So that
Yeah.
old school 50s kind of just square chinned or square jawed.
Milk drinking dude.
Yeah, Batman 66.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I like them for different reasons, but I can never write them completely. So that was kind of just my ode to them. And trust me, if I was to write a series, that thing would flop.
Okay. So humor.
Yeah, humor is horrible for me.
I think the hardest thing for me to write is fight scenes.
Really?
Yeah, it's not.
I'm good at it, though.
It ain't. I mean, choreographing a fight scene is hard work, man. It's
You know, I use toys.
yeah.
Yeah, I use toys.
That's not a bad idea, actually. I ain't got enough toys to use. I got some pop figures, but they don't really move. They don't have working limbs and stuff, I just be like pat, 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 So,
No.
I mean, you go through fight scenes, you actually go through bits where you got to say, all right, he throw this punch. What would his counter be to that? Or if he throws him, or if he kicks this way, what's going to be his follow through? Or what does he leave himself open for when the guy counters, Laying out the blow by blow of a particular battle. You know what I'm saying? And it's I don't want to say tedious, but yeah, it's a little bit tedious laying out fight scenes. So that's probably the hardest thing for me to. It requires the most concentration, I would say, because it's just a lot of work. I mean, you got to actually, you really got to think. You know what I mean, to make it believable. And plus, you're telling this to somebody that has to draw it, and you can't just. I mean, the artist has imagination. That's true. But if you're doing something really specific, that means you got to take all of this time to write down all of this, whatever. So it's like lots of steps. And I don't really like steps, but whatever. Ain't the hardest working, man. You know what I'm saying? So I would rather tell the artist and let him work it out than have to write it down and,
Well, I mean, you get an artist that can I guess interpret.
Yeah.
And kind of get a feel for what you're shooting for. And yeah.
Montos was pretty good for that.
Montos.
I didn't have some stuff. I just let him
period was actually really good. And it stands up years later.
Oh, yeah. I'm really impressed by the stuff that he did. Some of it was with minimal detail. He just knocked it out the box. I was like,
yep.
Ooh, saved my life.
Especially the Keith Nadia fight.
Oh, he drilled it. That was like 20 panels.
Yeah.
On 2 pages. He just crushed it, man. I was like,
early on. I'm surprised. Like, none of us caught that. They not supposed to be putting all those panels on the page.
Yeah.
But it was creative. And it wasn't a fight scene.
But I got that off of that man, Matt Wagner, when he was doing the Grendel Batman stuff. He would do these fight scenes with the first Grendel, not the Grendel Prime, but he would have this. He had this fight laid out in about 20-something panels. I was riffing him. He had like a 20-panel, no dialogue, just them fighting. And I said, that is sick, man. So I said, all right, let me give Montos. I didn't do 20. I think I did like 16. Yeah, 16. Maybe it might be 18 total. With 16 small panels and then 2 big ones. He knocked it out the box. So
but I like those. Depending on the characters, depending on who the characters are, those extended panels work. I mean, the Keith and Nadia one worked because it showed how brutal their fight was. Because when you do, like, say you do if they would do like a Hulk Superman fight, you know, you can get away with. Remember that I mean, you kind of look back on it now with rosy lenses with that horrible Marvel versus DC.
Oh yeah.
Vote-in thing.
Yeah.
And what? I mean, Superman, Batman, I go ahead constraints, which is kind of weird. They would have constraints from the two biggest powerhouse comic book companies that you would like limit it to 4 issues, 22 pages each.
Yeah.
But, you know, remember the Hulk Superman fight may have been like 4 or 5 panels.
Yeah.
So obviously, the least amount of panels, the more damage each panel has to do. You just know that this one punch from Superman is cracking a mountain open. Same thing with Hulk. But if you're doing a Wolverine / Omega Red fight, just getting nitty gritty. I mean, you can literally do. I think Andy Kubert was it? I don't know who was drawing Wolverine this time. Was it Andy or Adam? Might have been.
Oh yeah, because
Adam Kubert. And remember when he had the bone claws? He ended up the issue popping the middle bone claw through Sabretooth's skull. Yeah. But remember, it was a pullout, so it was 3 pages, and it would just.
I remember that. Yeah.
It put your Keith Nadia fight to shame. It was just like it had to be like 50 panels on it, and it just showed them just going back and forth, and you just knew that was a fight. That was an epic fight. They destroyed any and everything they got into the middle of it. So it works for certain people, and it worked. I think you did it perfectly in Intrepid.
Wasn't that the one where he like lobotomized him and he was like,
He ended up like this, and then Sabretooth played he was playing like he never got to normal. Yeah. Just to get on the good side. It was an interesting story. I like it.
Yeah, I remember. I think I got that in the box somewhere. Yeah.
I have it. You know I have it.
Oh yeah. That's classic right there.
Of course.
Right.
I'm looking for an excuse to do a fight like that. I haven't done one yet.
Yeah.
Because I don't like the small panels. But I'm looking to find somebody to kind of get nitty gritty with.
You think? Well, I mean, is that the time with a fight like that? Would you take like a whole issue or something, or half an issue?
I don't know.
As opposed to doing small panels.
Well, you know, I like fights. Period. So I'm looking for any and every excuse.
Yeah.
I try to have a fight. If I could do a whole fight issue, I would.
If I see, I'm coming up to that now, but I'll get into that later. I mean, I'm debating as to whether to have an entire. I'm not used to having a one scene book. Because it throws me off. You know, I gotta cut something in, maybe 3. The least amount of scenes I had in any book is 3. So I do a fight, cut it in the middle, and then get back to it, and that's it.
Okay. Yeah. Cut the tension.
Yeah. Just for my own peace of mind, because I can't think all the way through in one fight. Because it'll be short. I can't do a long fight. I done told you I got troubles with fight scenes already. So if it was to go on to a whole issue, man, it better be a whole lot of people fighting. I tell you that. If it's 2 dudes, man, I don't know. I wouldn't read that issue though. But we'll see.
That's new. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Now, a final question before the bonus question. What do you consider creative success?
Early on, obviously, I just publishing, just getting your book out there. But then in a short time, you realize that you have to sell your product. You have to gain some sort of financial success to continue. So I don't know what that means to me personally. I know that for the company itself, for the properties, we need it to kick off. We need people to want to buy our stuff and follow our characters so that we can continue to tell our story. So that's what success means to me.
Okay. With me, when I get the final script back from the editor, and he checks off on it and tells me it's good, that's it. That's it. I'm very easily gratified.
Really?
As soon as I get it back and say that this issue follows up that last one
Mm-hmm.
very well, or this opens the story arc very well, as soon as you tell me it's effective, that's it. Now it's the putting it. I mean, the artist doing the work is a separate issue, but I don't have so much control over it,
Mm-hmm.
so I can't. I mean, if he screws it up, yeah, I'm gonna be pissed. But I'm looking at it from the standpoint you screwed up a good story. You know what I'm saying? Then you messed up a good. Your part of the process fails, but mine's did. I did what I was supposed to do. So I'm
People aren't
very
looking at it
easily
that way,
so. Huh?
people aren't really looking at it that way though. They're so you're just talking about personal gratification.
Yeah,
You're good,
yeah. I'm easily self-gratified.
even though people may say it's crap.
Well,
But if your book gets
but it's a
if
separate
your book
issue.
gets, but if your book gets a 1 out of 5 because of the art or another process that's separate, what if they just say the story is good, but I literally can't follow it because the art is so horrendous.
I'm not saying that the creative process ends when I'm,
That's where you're
get
at.
my jollies off of the script. The process goes on, and I'm gonna work with the artist through his leg of the process.
Mm-hmm.
But mine's is I'm good
Okay.
from a personal standpoint, and the process continues. But I take a great measure of satisfaction of having completed my part. Now we go on to the second part, which is, like I say, a lot of it's out of my control. I mean, you work with somebody that you trust, and you hope that he does what he does as good as he can. But I can't be overly. I can't let any shortcomings on that side rob my joy of having finished what I did.
That
You know what I'm
surprises
saying?
me a lot. That actually surprises me a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, you seem to be kind of a creative dictator. I always thought that. I mean, because the book is so close to what you envisioned, unless I'm wrong.
No, it is, and that's just to me good fortune. You run into somebody that's. I haven't worked with too many people that, and I ain't gonna name no names, but the majority, with maybe one or two exceptions, of the artists that I work with did their jobs well, and the ones that didn't, the jokers never saw the light of day, and I ain't really got to worry about it. Now, and I'm talking about, especially on Intrepid. Everything outside of that, to me, I'm fine with. You know what I'm saying? Society, ages, the jokers work. Now, did they gross, large sums of money? No, but that's a separate issue. And I can't really,
No,
those are things that I also don't really fret about too much.
right.
Because it's arbitrary, If it sells, it sells. If it don't, but if you did the best you can, hey,
That's true.
Yeah.
So when we did the the panel for No One to Save, right, at AwesomeCon, there was a guy afterwards, and shout out to Douglas Pendleton, he was there, and Rob Spencer, he was there as well, and Timothy Craggett. The guy came up after the panel and was like, "Do you guys have a table this year?" It was like, "Unfortunately, no." He got the No One to Save book, but he was like, "So when is the some more For Armageddon books coming out?" And he was like, "I have these 3, the first 3," and then he started retelling me the story that was happening in the book. He was like, "I really need to know what's going to happen." He was like, "This plan that like Death is putting together, is just." It got me. It was like, I need to see like what's going to happen. And that was honestly the first time outside of ourselves where someone that didn't have a hand in the creative process was excited about what I had produced, what I had vision, and what, and he had, I think it was from 2 years prior, not the year before. It was from 2 years. So we're talking about a full 2 years that this guy has been waiting to get the next issues of these things. And I was just like, that's true fan commitment. It was a little scary too. It was like, this, like it's stalking outside your house or
Yeah.
some misery type stuff. Remember, break
Your
your leg.
legs.
You're gonna finish this.
Yeah.
You're gonna finish this series.
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't like that, but that's what kind of came to me.
Right.
It's like, wow, like I don't, because I had to think, have I ever followed anything that nothing came out on? So then when I told him that, like, you know, we actually just gave him the next two that we had, because we had done 2 other issues since he had got them.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why I said we have to be able to make money and sell these products so that people, whether they like them or don't. I mean, I like feedback all the way around. That everyone's going to have some kind of impression of what you put out.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, as you already know, because we've all done it, everyone's going to have an idea about how they could have done your work better than you once it gets out there. So I don't mind that either. You know, because it's a different thing. That's 2 different processes. You're looking at what somebody already created as opposed to someone building.
Mm-hmm.
So not the same thing, kind of the same thing, but yeah.
So I guess that's why I'm kind of, I take that self-gratification because I've been knocked so many times, you know what I mean? You see, I'm not gonna say, I'm sensitive to criticism, yeah. Not so much that I wouldn't say I'm the type that needs to hear people singing my praises, but I definitely don't need nobody knocking me. You know what I'm saying? Because especially critics, a lot of times, unless you're a writer yourself, I don't want to hear from you. Because let's see you know, pick up a pen and lay it down and put in some work. You know, that's always gonna be my attitude. So, but you gotta get critique. You know, it's necessary, but you know, it's not nothing that I really care about. So the people that count the most to me is the editors, you know, anybody that's editing the book, anybody that I know, like you and Dave, Doug, people in the circle, my sister, and that's, yeah, friends and family and stuff like that. If they like it, I'm fine. But everybody else that comes up and say, you know, you didn't follow the rules of this didn't do like that. I'm like, man, come on.
Well, I can definitely tell you. One of the things I want to do when we start conventions again, hopefully in 2021.
Hopefully.
I mean, that's up to the convention, but you know,
true.
They're there. Sorry, we'll be there, and I want to do a panel. I want to do a panel for our individual books to give them time to shine, to give them time to build. But the first one I want to do is Intrepid, since we've already hit that mark where we're fully into Pandora's Cage. And if you go back and you look at Intrepid 1 through 7, and then you read 8 on top of it, you see that growth from an unconventional team. It's a team book that doesn't have a team just yet. And then you kind of decompose the team going from 6 to 7. No, 6 to 8. And then they kind of see that transition into what it's going to, you know, the founding family of the second wave universe. I think that'll be a very good story for people to take part in at a panel.
I think so.
Yeah, it's been a long journey, and this book definitely needs to get the criticism and acknowledgement that it needs.
Let's hope.
Of course. We're going to be the Zack Snyder of the second wave universe. People won't understand what they're reading, but then, you know, henceforth, years later, they'll bend to what is excellent storytelling and character development.
Just give me the cash. Give me the cash. That's all I want, man.
Okay.
All right. This is the bonus question. And I'm trying to, do I want to ask that one? All right. Well, I was going to ask you a question that I asked you before, but I ain't going to do that. What do you consider creative failure?
Creative failure?
Question. Yes. What do you consider a creative failure?
Just not producing, honestly. Just not producing. If we set something, if we set a goal and we don't hit it, and we continue to not hit it, you know, if I'm like that, we need, you know, I'm working on the issue, and usually an issue would take me about roughly 20 to 25 days to finish. because of my laborious process with
Mm-hmm.
writing. But if 3 months later I'm not nowhere near finished because I let life get in front of me,
Mm-hmm.
that's a failure. Like, we need to produce. It's in our blood that we need to produce. We need to get this stuff out here. And looking at other things come out, you know, other properties come out, animes, comics, whatever the case is, it annoys me to no end that we have all these amazing ideas and we are not doing it. So that's failure to me. Like, you know, if we don't have Intrepid Pandora's Cage done, 12, issue 12, we're on 9 now. So 9, 10, 11, 12. We got 4 more to go. If we don't have those done by next summer, and that's pushing it, honestly. That's pushing. That's going to be a failure to me. If by the end of next year we can't produce 8 issues of any particular series, that's a failure to me.
I feel you.
And we don't deserve to be in the industry. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, we just
gotta have standards,
you know, we'll just do Kickstarters per issue now.
How you feel about that?
$2 a year for 2 24-page books and make people wait like 6 months for them.
I know how you feel about that. So yeah.
Hey, we should talk about that one day too.
Yeah, that'd be a good topic. Yeah. What I say is a failure if you or Dave take issue with a script as it not being, you know, like either any good or not.
It sucks,
huh?
If it sucks, it sucks, Jose. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I'll accept that. I'll take the L and be like, oh, well, it ain't no good. But if it's you, Dave, or my sister, those are probably the 3 people that matter most to me right now. If either one of you 3 say, oh, you know what I'm saying? nah, then I'll be like, oh, I missed.
You gotta be really bad. So that you're the best writer that we have. You gotta be really bad for you.
See, but the thing is, you locked into what's going on, and you would know that you can catch anything from. It say like if this doesn't jibe with what you just wrote, you say, well, that's not going to work because it's not consistent. So that means that I didn't pay attention. I was just writing, you know, to write or whatever. I wasn't on it. So I say, oh well, then I messed up. I consider that a failure, and that's when you got to go fix it. You know what I'm saying? If
you got a point.
Yeah, I mean, if it's not passable, you know what I'm saying, or if it's just passable, you know what I mean, if it just squeaks by, and I'm like, nah.
Well, you know, that's the one thing that we haven't really tackled yet, or we've had to tackle, that has been a persistent threat in our peripheral. You know, when it comes to a time where you're going to be required to pump out 12 to 15 scripts of Intrepid per year, because they're going into production. So every 45 days, a new issue is being pumped out, which means that you need to be ahead of them by 3 to 4 issues, and you hit that roadblock. You hit those life life obstacles. And, you know, it's not clicking and everything like that. Like, that's when, like, right now we're writing at our convenience. When it becomes more of a job, and the creative part takes the back seat because, you know, you've already laid the foundation for it. You know, you got Intrepid Heroes and Villains, Pandora's Cage, Black Sheep Blues, all that's out the way. It's already foundational. But then something's not clicking in, I don't know, one of your other series. And you still have to push through it. And then that's when the question becomes, you know, is it like a job, like money over creativity? And then when we sit down and be like, you know, this is some garbage, Jose. So do we stop it? Do we not publish it because you can't, like, get it? Do we pass it off to another writer? Like, what's going on here? Like, those conversations are going to, like, really buckle us and kind of temper what kind of steel we're made of, whether it's bendable or whether we're just going to go ahead and push through. That's why I said, man, about that Frank Miller. I don't know if someone from DC looked at it and was like when he did Superman, it was just like, if they looked at it, was like, it's Frank Miller's name, but it's Superman, our flagship character, and it's horrible.
Did they ever finish that? Did they ever finish that series, or did they stop?
I couldn't do it.
The last one I remember is they had Black Canary in there, and It might have been issue 4, and then I just cut it out because I mean, as much as I love looking at Jim Lee's like art, man, I couldn't take it, man. It's just like,
Oh, I was talking about the Superman one that he did.
oh, you talking about the? You talking who? You talking about Frank Miller? Oh, you talking about the Dark Knight stuff?
Not the
Superman?
there was a Superman
Dark Knight
story
3?
he did.
He did. I didn't know that.
He did
I
a
know
Superman story. It started with his origin. It was kind of
his Batman. What did they call that? Batman. What was the one that he did with Jim Lee? What do they call it?
yeah, it was All Star.
All Star. All right, that one.
All Star Batman and Robin.
That one I can't.
Yeah, I started the Black Canary one too.
I jumped off at 4.
It was too much because it wasn't Batman.
Yeah, I tapped out at 4. I didn't do Dark Knight 3, and I only did a little bit of Dark Knight 2.
But that's exactly what I'm talking about. Like when it gets to the point where you're just writing,
yeah,
and you know Jose brings in X amount of copies being sold, like to the point where, in my opinion, creatively, you could put out garbage. Like, where do we hold creatively? Like, do we sit you down, take what I would assume would be coke that you're just like sniffing away from you, and be like, Jose, what you're writing is not. It's not. You're not the old Beatles. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yoko is spitting into Lennon's ear.
Yeah.
And so
at that point, the way I look at it, everybody, even older, has a bad issue here and there. You know what I'm saying? You just carry on. You know what I'm saying? As long as it's not completely off the rails. I mean, but everybody has this. The best of them, Peter, David, whoever you want to name.
Of course, everybody.
Everybody has a down issue, maybe a down issue or 2. And you just gotta, what's that line? De La Soul. Everybody cools off from being hot, but it's about if you can handle being cold or not. You know what I mean?
Hey.
Deal with it. You know what I'm saying?
That's real.
Deal with it, man. Just, and carry on. If you can't, then stop, put down your pen and just go on about your business. And but like you say, when you start, when you're on the clock, you know what I mean? When you really in that grind, that's when you find out who you are.
So let me ask you this. So in this same vein, I enjoy Boruto, right? Anime. I enjoy Boruto. Boruto is decidedly different from Naruto for the main, and I don't really know if it's a letdown or not, but it's definitely a creative decision that they made. So in Naruto, especially Shippuden, they had arcs that focused on other teams.
Yeah.
So Naruto was still in it, but the arc itself was that particular team. So Shikamaru, Ino, Choji, they had an amazing arc where Asuma died.
Right.
And then you had, Rock Lee's group or Mike Guy's group. They had their arc. So they were able to build their characters up as support characters through the main series, and then they gave them their specific arcs. Naruto is kind of, they're using filler episodes to do that. And the filler episodes don't really account to anything. Like it's just like
you talking about the manga, the anime, right?
The anime, right? I've never seen an anime that has this many fillers or nonsensical fillers. So, but they're using it to build up the other characters, though. So this is exactly what we're talking about. Where, at what point does it, like, because I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what they're doing. Like I look at it because I'm a fan and I follow, but it just seems pointless. So at what point, when it's pointless, that's when I'll hit you at the Jose, like why are you writing this anymore? like what are you doing?
Yeah.
Down to, and if you're just telling me, I'm just here to make money. Like, okay, well, and then that's the decision on my end to be like, well,
this ain't working, man.
I don't know, this ain't working. I mean, it happens in the entertainment community.
Oh yeah,
forever.
people be phoning it in. You know, they just phone it in. Again, I don't want to name names, but yeah. So there's artists, writers, and artists, like whatever. You can tell, you can see when they're just plodding along. They don't have no particular. They're collecting a check, you know. And that's fine. You can do that if you want to, but just don't expect me to buy it. That's all. Because I jump off a book quick. I mean, for at least because I have the luxury of waiting until you get hot again.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I'll be like, oh, he's phoning it in. So I'll wait a couple of months after it. If he's back to grinding, I get back on it. If he's back to grinding, I get back on it and wait till he builds up a better storyline. But otherwise, I ain't sit around and let you collect a check on my dime. No.
In the creative community, all you have is your namesake. You're like, it's I don't know if people think of it this way, but I think of it as the Old West gunslinger.
Mm-hmm.
Your reputation precedes you. So if you're known for putting out garbage, like no one's going to take you seriously. You're not going to get, no one's going to bet on you.
Right.
So yeah. So now I'm with you. I can wait too, but
yeah. And like going back to Boruto, I hear that the manga is pretty good. It's pretty good from what I understand, from what I heard. So I'm gonna go back and read it.
It is.
And I gotta find out. The anime I can read, I can watch in spurts because they just hit some spurts where they just come up with these little side stories for characters that are not that important. Mm-hmm. And I'm like you say, why am I watching this? Or why did you put this out? You know what I'm saying? And they didn't do that with Naruto. They pretty much
they used everyone's side story or their particular arcs to build them up for later. Neji dying, Shikamaru being Naruto's, I can't remember what it is, chief of staff or whatever.
Right.
He is. Like everyone has a particular purpose that they were built up for. Boruto, I can't say that. And that's an example to me of you're flogging a dead horse.
Yeah.
It has so much potential. And I just feel like you need to also know as a creative when to walk away from something. Yeah. So if you're not feeling intrepid anymore, however, you do have an awesome plot line that you want them to do. You have Intrepid, the next generation or whatever.
Yeah, right.
Be on there as an executive producer or something, like co-plot, but stay away from scripting and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And I think that's probably what should have happened with Kishimoto with Boruto, because it's
I think he's got somebody else writing it, but I don't.
It's horrible. You need to realize that they're horrible too.
Yeah,
there's nothing serious that goes on there, and
the stakes are real low. They ain't nothing. The stakes are way low compared to Naruto.
Way low.
I mean, because these guys want to fighting like universe level bammers at the you know what I'm saying? They got powers that can like destroy a planet. They start getting on Dragon Ball level for a minute.
When Boruto was born, remember Naruto when Naruto and Hinata got together, they were fighting on the moon.
Right.
Fighting on the moon, dude.
These kids, you can't go back to Guinea and what they be doing. Ain't nobody want to read. So they boxed themselves in. We gotta do an anime session on this, manga session on this.
Hey, we can.
Yeah, I got a manga corner in the crisis corner. We can get on that.
I know. They'd be on that.
Yeah. We
they'd be on that. I don't get invites for that.
Yeah. Okay, I got you.
Like I don't watch anime.
Okay.
It's okay. Y'all do y'all got y'all thing.
Manga or anime, whatever.
I see my comments in there.
Just say whatever if you're watching something specific or reading something specific, just let me know. And if you're watching the two, we just doing the jam on that. Yeah.
So I told you I'm heavy into the webtoons.
Yeah.
And they got 2 of them on there now. God of High School. Have you seen that yet?
Mm-mm.
You got Crunchyroll, right?
Yeah.
Look at Tower of God.
Tower of God, yeah.
Look at that and look at God of High School.
Okay.
Really good. I haven't read the manga on webtoon, but I've started to after seeing the first episode. It came out last week.
Okay.
Nice.
All right. Come on it. I'll take that as an official recommendation.
Of course. It's good.
All right, that concludes our 5 creative questions for this session. We'll have another one as soon as I find another guest. Until then, like, comment, subscribe, do whatever you like, and we'll catch you next. Hopefully, the next thing that you'll see will be our continuation of our Star Wars trilogy review, or the Skywalker saga post-mortem, which at this point we're going to the prequels, and then we'll finish up with the sequels. And yeah, we'll see about that. I'm ready for this. But that's it from the Crisis Corner today. We'll see you in our next episode. Everybody stay loose.